Hey everyone, James Niggemeyer here. Thank you for tuning back into the YouTube channel. Today I want to talk about something that I think is so small in the scheme of our fishing and bait presentation and things like that, but I feel like this thing can make a massive difference in the number of bites you're going to get in a day. It's interesting how many anglers I get to fish with, not only in my guide service, but in tournaments and different things like this, and I'll notice this bait presentation mistake. And I want to share it with you all in this community. I certainly appreciate everybody who tunes into this channel, everybody that's subscribed, everybody that's commented, liked, and just watches these videos. And this one little thing, you might think, man, that can't make that big of a difference. But I promise you, it's probably one of the smallest things that makes one of the bigger difference in bait presentation when it pertains to baits that you're going to fish on the bottom. If you can avoid your bait from penduluming back to the boat. So basically what I'm saying is this is my rod here, this is my bait, and you pitch it out there and it hits the water, say hits the top of the water here. And instead of falling vertically right there untethered, it basically pendulums back to the boat. And that might be 6 inches horizontally back towards the boat in a couple feet of water, but out in 25 feet of water, it might be 2 or 3 or 4 feet of distance from where it hits the water. And then, you know, it would sink vertically because it's a Texas rig creature bait, but you keep that tension and all it does is pendulum back to the boat. And what that also does is it makes a very unnatural presentation. It just does not get strikes. I don't know how many times over the years I've watched anglers basically make a presentation, it hits the water, they engage the reel. And in deeper water, it's an even more drastic effect because of the way that it comes back towards you. But even in shallow water, when a guy is flipping, he's going to pitch it out there like that. When it hits the water, what I like to do is then once it hits the water is drop my rod so that I give the bait slack, even if it's just in a couple feet of water. But if I flip it out there and I keep my rod tip up, then it's going to bring that bait back away from the target, away from the intended bait placement. If you're fishing a rock pile, a stump row, or a brush pile, you're essentially going to throw towards where you believe the target to be. And then it's just going to come back. It's going to pendulum back toward you and away from where you believe the fish to be. Because when you throw a bait out there, in my mind at least, I'm picturing the fish should be right there. That's where I think the fish should be. So I'm intentional about the way that I'm placing my bait. Everything from making a soft entry to allowing that bait to flutter and fall back the way it's designed to. If it falls vertically like that, those claws are going to be kicking on the way down. But if you've got tension on the line, it's just going to kind of pendulum back and the action won't quite be the same. It'll still kick, but it won't kick as fast because obviously the descent is being slowed down by the amount of pressure you're putting on the bait. So it's definitely something to take into consideration. I can't stress enough about it. I can remember flipping grass lines with a friend and he would flip and it would hit the water and he would engage the reel immediately, like bam, engage the reel. And even if he drops the rod tip, he is slowing the descent of the bait. And a lot of times when you're flipping grass, it's that fast drop that's going to draw the reaction strikes. You're going to get that fish to bite. It looks like something fleeing away from them, and that's when they bite it. If you want a slow fall, typically you want a lighter weight and those types of things. But when you're flipping into heavy cover, you need something that crashes through the canopy, crashes through the cover, and gets down towards the bottom. In my opinion, your bait should, once it hits the water, go straight to the bottom, unless you're throwing something that's horizontally moving. But as far as baits that you drag on the bottom, that you fish on the bottom, that are Texas rigged, that sink, those types of things should hit the water and then fall vertically in the water column. You want to avoid as much as possible that pendulum effect. I just don't know how many times I've ever caught any fish with the bait penduluming back towards me. But not to belabor the point, but that one thing I feel like can make a big difference in the number of bites that you're going to get, specifically with your worms and your jigs and your soft plastics. Making that bait fall vertically in the water column, untethered, and not with much draw on it so that it doesn't swing back towards you, is just a huge thing. Quick video for you guys today. Hope you got something out of it. If you did, please give me a thumbs up and drop a comment down below. Of course, make sure that you go over to my description section, because there you'll find a link for my merch, Team Niggemeyer Fishing, social media, website, as well as a discount code for Amphibia eye gear. Until next time, thanks for watching and good fishing.